Hello, my name is Anna DePinho. I attend Milsom Township Middle School in Milsom Township School District. And based on many circumstances, my school has been utilizing numerous formats while providing options to provide utmost comfort for our students and their families. So, what this entails is when we're able to, we are in person 5 days a week for half days. So, that means shorter classes and no lunch period. But families will always have the option to keep their student at home learning virtually full time. But if there is an outbreak of cases in our school, we will either contain it by close contacting students and just sending those kids virtually, or if the numbers are high enough, we will quarantine at grades by time.
Hi, my name is Sayuri Shri and I attend Marlborough Memorial Middle School in the Marlborough Township. Our school has been switching modes since this year. We started as all virtual, then we turned hybrid, and then we turned virtual again because of an outbreak of cases. Right now, currently we're hybrid, in which on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays and Fridays, kids who want to, they can attend school for half the day, and then we have afternoon sessions. Our school district has been wanting to provide flexibility for everyone, so they've always given us a choice if we want to attend virtually or in person. I'm currently attending in person, but majority of my school is virtual.
I go to Howell Township School District, and I go to Middle School North rather than Middle School South because there's two middle schools in our district. Um, so, I mean, our school this year has done, for the first half of the year, pretty much completely hybrid. So, first 2 days of the week, the A team goes in. Wednesday, everyone's virtual. Thursday, Friday, the B team comes in. And then, but for this half of the year, similarly to Anna, it's 5 half days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's all like choice, like you pointed out. You can come in and you can do your work in school, or you can work from home, and you're counted as present either way.
Hi, I'm Olivia Edmonds. I go to Freehold Intermediate School in the Freehold School District. And since the beginning of the school year, we were virtual up until March 1st. And then our parents got to decide whether they wanted to keep us home virtual or go in 4 days a week with one virtual day. So we're in 4 half days and then one full day at home. I'm in school, but you had the choice whether you wanted to go in school or stay home.
My name is Amelia Maffett. I go to Bradley Beach Elementary School, and you can choose to be 5 days in person, and they're all half days, or you can be completely virtual, and I'm completely virtual.
I believe if I have to choose one of the hardest thing that that I have to adjust to because of this time would be that sense of a classroom, because when we were all in person, we had everyone sitting next to each other, whereas now even if you go in person, the next student you see is at least 6 feet away from you. And another thing is that when we are at home, you have several tools for distraction, and it's rather hard to avoid them all. So I'm trying to adjust to that, but it's one of the hardest things.
I think one of the hardest things that we had to adjust to was losing things like extracurriculars, our sports, our clubs that take place after school, because when it comes to, what I participate in school, I like spreading myself out. I do some clubs. I participate in a sport every season. So losing those was pretty hard because that took up a lot of my time after school. And 8th grade, I mean, I would think it would probably be the best year out of, doing 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I think it would be the best year to do it because you're at the peak of your athletic growth. And in some of my clubs, I have, some social circles between people that I've been up to, like in the Technology Student Association. I'm now on the board. So, that might have been nicer to do in person, but it is what it is.
One of the hardest adjustments for me would be the social aspect of school. Normally you would go to school and ask how their days are. Sometimes you would be doing group projects, whereas now we have dividers between us, we're spread out, and we can't really talk to each other. And it's different. It's like it's hard because you want to talk to the people that are next to you, but you can't. And for months we were at home and we didn't have the socialization at all unless it was through our phones or we had to make plans outside of school. So yeah.
This adjustment for me has been the social effects of not being able to see my friends every day. Because I'm virtual, I don't really get to even like look at them. It's very difficult to be a part of the class when I'm not even present in the room.
I would say the hardest adjustment for me personally would be trying to adapt to that constant change, especially this year when the numbers are fluctuating so much in that area. Because as someone who takes the opportunity to be in person when you can, it's especially hard to get so comfortable and like in the flow of things when just like that you're virtual again, or the complete opposite. You get so used to hopping on Zooms every day like this, and then all of a sudden you have to see people face to face again. So I think that constant change and just going back and forth is pretty difficult.
So positive that I've found from virtual learning has been learning how to work independently and really work on myself and my independent growth. Whereas in school, you could rely on your classmates or your teacher. It's a little bit harder virtually, so you really learn to teach yourself, and um, you have to be very attentive. So it was good for me because I really needed to focus, and it it helped me grow as a person, I would say.
I've learned to have empathy for others and myself, and because I've had to sacrifice things to be able to keep people safe during this pandemic. And it's taken a lot of the things I love away, but I'm helping keeping people safe by staying home.
A positive for me is a newfound appreciation for really everything and all the little things. Because before this, you kind of overlook things like how much work a teacher puts into a lesson, or quality time with friends, or even like even just walking around a grocery store, which is something I would never thought I would say. But I feel very fortunate to have this happen so early in my life, because now when this all subsides a bit, I'll have so much time to really go back and appreciate those little things in full.
So I think having this during this time, we've all had an opportunity to learn something about ourselves, even if it's only a little, and have time to dedicate to ourselves, even if only halfway. And I feel like now I have learned more about myself than I think I would have during seventh and eighth grade, if it were a normal year. I think that's one of the biggest positives from this experience.
I think one and it sounds kind of oxymoronic, but I think one big positive has been becoming more independent, like Olivia said, but also getting in touch with your friends more. Which it sounds like it cancels each other out, but it's, for me at least, it's kind of like in school when I'm working, I can focus on my lessons myself. Like, for example, for geometry, I have to kind of look at examples from the textbook myself and teach myself, because our teacher is at, like, Zooming from home, teaching us from home. So I have to become more independent that way in teaching myself. But then at the same time, I'm also closer with my friends because, everyone's at home. So we try to stay in contact as much as we can. So we FaceTime and do Zoom calls and text each other quite a lot. So even though we're not physically together, we can still, stay in touch, and we become closer that way, I think.
I think that my classmates have either adjusted horribly and have had a really hard time staying away from each other, staying safe, and just learning, because it's a lot harder doing it from home or not being able to have the teacher come up and help you. But other kids I think have done really well with this because it's given them the time to work on stuff longer than they would have had in class.
The people I'm in contact with, uh, I when I in seventh grade, I used to be pretty close to everybody. Like I was not a person to be like I have a small friend group, and these are the only people I talk to. Like it's more like I'm acquainted with everybody, and I enjoy talking to everybody. I don't have one very close group. So for the group of people that I've stayed in contact with, I know that they're pretty happy and they're managing about this, as happy and as much as we can manage. But the people it's kind of sad. I've lost contact with all these people that I'd talk to in the classroom or I'd talk to in special classes, and so I honestly have no idea how they're doing, and it's kind of disappointing because I hope they're doing well, and I'd like to be, speak to them. We can't.
I think for a lot of my close friends that I'm in contact with, it's probably been pretty taxing on like the mental health and emotional health side of things because we are a very tight knit, close friend group. So we rely on each other a lot. So when that's taken away, even if you are in school and there are still restrictions, and when that's taken away, you can't really rely on each other as much and you can't be with each other. And I found that to be hard for a lot of us because yes, you can FaceTime, yes, you can Zoom, but it's really just not the same as being face to face and with the people that you really love and appreciate.
So yeah, much like Amelia said, I think there's people that are doing really well and doing bad on such far ends different on the spectrum. But I mean, it's mentally draining for some people having to log on virtually or go in person. It was hard to adjust going in school after being home for almost a year. It's like a new it's like going to school for the first time, really. And there's some people that were dreading it and didn't want to go back, but there's also some people who couldn't wait and love in-person school. So I really think it depends on the person and how they're handling it themselves. And everyone has different situations at home. So, I mean, it really depends.
So, as Olivia and Amelia have already mentioned, there are all kinds of people, and I think everyone is different. So, everyone's handling it differently. I know people who have just been adjusting so well, they don't even feel like anything is too bad. And then I know some people who have been a bit, they've been complaining about every single change. And then there are people who are just fine, just in the middle. I believe that the people who have been doing well have been trying hard. And then the people who haven't been doing well are also trying hard, but they have other different settings and different situations, as Olivia said. And because of their personalities, like some people prefer a different kind of setting for studying, whereas other people would like to do something different. Just like some people enjoy studying with music and some people don't. And it's just what they find success in, they haven't been able to find it.
This is honestly a really difficult question for me personally because I find that all the teachers I've had the pleasure of being with and encountering, they all bring something unique and special to the table. But I think a few that do stand out to me would be both my current and former history teachers, my geometry teacher and my former science teacher, now musical choreographer. And these all stick out to me because they really all truly care for their students and they put in that extra bit of effort and concern that really means a ton because you know that they're there for you and you know that they have your back always. And you can also see how much passion they have for their job and how much effort they put into their lessons every single day. And I think that's something that you can really appreciate.
During this entire time and seeing how everyone has been working so hard, it is really tough to choose one or a few people. But considering everything to each student, myself included, I think the homeroom teacher homeroom teacher and their grade level counselors have been very important because they've been reaching out completely and doing everything, connecting with the students, conversing and giving them everything about the school, what's going on, and letting us know about the news, essentially. I think that has been very important. And personally, I think my choir teacher, she has been taking all of this into consideration, and she talks to us so nicely that I feel like in her class we get a pause from everything that's going on, and I think we get to like relieve some of the stress that we build up the entire day.
I think my ELA teacher has probably made this adjustment easiest for me and my classmates because she interacts with us and acknowledges the virtual students as if they're still in the classroom. She checks up on us. She makes sure we're okay doing our work. She makes sure we understand everything. And if we don't, she'll explain it. And she calls on us and asks us questions. She kind of doesn't ignore us like I've seen other teachers do, or she never forgets about us.
Let me start off by saying all of my teachers have been fantastic. And I mean, I think teachers deserve all the applause in the world. They've done everything they could to make this comfortable for us. But I would say, especially all of my 7th grade teachers last year, I mean, none of them expected this. It totally came out of the blue. And yet they managed teaching us and their home lives. You know, a lot of them had their own kids that they needed to take care of, and yet they made it seem like nothing happened for us. And it was such a smooth transition that it was like they had it planned out, except they didn't, because no one knew this was going to happen. And they just really did a great job in making us really get the best out of our education last year.
I think one of my most idolized, I would say, teachers during this time period would be my social studies teacher. Because it's a very simple thing, but he always has a positive attitude no matter what we're doing or whether he's at home, we're at home. And I think that's important for any teacher to have, but he exemplifies it very well because I don't know, during this time period, I feel like it's pretty easy to become sad or depressed, and he keeps his smile on his face always every day in class, and I think that's a great kind of catalyst for everyone else's mood, because he makes class fun. He jokes around, he keeps everyone interested, and so I think he stood out to me the most during this time period.
Probably want them to know the most is that elaborate, extra long explanations confuse me more than simpler step-by-step ones, because often I'll get bored or my mind will just wander, and it's difficult to stay focused when they're long and taking a long time.
I would want my high school teachers to know is that I could take constructive criticism, and I really encourage it because I feel there's always room to improve. Even if you get 100 on a writing assignment, you could still do better. So really, no matter what, I like to be challenged, and I want to know what I can do better, because I think you can always improve.
I would like them to know that I am a pretty independent person in general, but I will still have questions, and I'm sure I will still be unsure about a few things here and there. So I may seem like I'm just going to go and figure out on my own, which, yes, I may end up doing for some things, but that doesn't necessarily mean to totally push away and disregard the fact that myself and people similar to myself will still have uncertainties now and again.
So I am a person that works hard and puts a lot of effort into things, but even during school, I do need breaks. And I think I would really like my high school teachers to know that, because sometimes my brain just shuts off and I don't understand anything and end up learning nothing. So I think if they can do something to provide with the vital breaks.
I think one of the most important things about me for, not just my high school teachers, but anyone to know about me is that uh, I'm pretty varied in terms of what I like to do. So, like I was mentioning before, I participate in multiple different sports and clubs. I like doing music. I also, like I'm kind of spread across the spectrum, and this also came into play when I was choosing my high school uh, throughout the different programs. Like academics is important to me, but so is music and sports and clubs. Like I want those things to be present also during my high school experience, along with academics. And so that not only was that a deciding thing for me when I was choosing a high school, but that's also something that I'd want a high school teacher to know.
So I'm more of a person who just likes to go with the flow and just accept what comes and not think much about my future. I do have an idea of where I want to head into, probably genetics or neuroscience, but I haven't really thought about it much. I think my future goal is essentially just to achieve something that pleases me, that I enjoy doing, and I can be proud of.
I don't know. This seems like a broad question to me. What are my future goals? But I'm gonna, like kind of break it down. Like in terms of a big future goal, which would I guess probably defaults to career. In at our point in our life, what career are you gonna go into is probably your biggest goal right now. Um, I'm not super sure. Like I said, I'm a pretty varied person, and so I don't know if I'd do a sport professionally or if I'd play music for a living or, go into what's the word? Um, Not a science, but a field of study, any field of study I might go into. So I'm not super um, definite on that right now. But that's one future goal is to just decide what I want my goal to be. So that could be one future goal. And that's a big goal, but I have smaller goals too that are just short term. Like let's see, I don't know. I think uh, I'm really passionate about music, and one thing that, as evidenced, I think one thing that uh, is a goal for me right now, at least with because I play guitar. I think that I'd like to learn a lot of different songs by heart and be able to play and sing them from memory because that's important. That's important to me because entertaining people is one of my favorite things to do. Just if it's making people laugh or just entertaining people in general is one of my favorite things to do, and so that's a short term goal.
So one of my goals is to succeed in the program I'm attending in high school, and career-wise, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I know that I want to follow my heart when I get there. But beyond my career ambitions, my main goal is just to be a good person who others respect and who respects others. And I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, that's a mean person. I want everyone to know that I'm a good person, and I want to have a positive impact on my community, and that's my main goal.
I go with the flow with a lot of things, but the two basic goals I have is to succeed in high school and to get into and go to a good college.
So I currently have a lot of passions floating around, so I'm not totally sure. But I know I am very interested in any sort of science, but specifically like environmental science or astrophysics, I find fascinating. But that being said, I also have interests that are the complete opposite, like government and political sciences. And similar to Sayori, I really just want to allow myself to explore and go with the flow. Just whatever comes, I'll accept that. I just want something that I do or I say or I put into action to improve someone else's life experience and make that positive impact.